Okay, so welcome back, people. The pen that I'm going to be making today, it was a pen that I had already made in the past, but I never made a video of it or anything. And this is the color that I'm going to be using. But the cool thing about this pen is that it's like no other pen. This one is like just using one brass tube and the rest of the pen parts without the little mechanical piece that twists and all that. And for this pen, I took other pieces from just a regular old pen that was there. I cut the ink cartridge a little bit so that it could fit inside of there. That's end cap, and then that little ring, I had to sand out the inside to make it thin enough to fit onto the brass tube, because if not it wouldn't fit, it was too thick. So then I sanded it out with some sandpaper. Took forever though, but yeah. And then I got this spring from the pen as well, so yeah. And let's get to making the pen. Alright, so right here I'm using a 7mm drill bit, and yeah, so I drilled through the whole thing. And when you're doing this, you don't want to go too fast because you heat up the plastic and it'll mess it up. So right here I cut off the little excess piece, and then yeah, so I cut that piece off. That's excess. Now when I was cutting this part, I wanted to measure it just to make sure that I didn't cut it wrong or anything. So yeah, so I marked it and checked it with my little caliper, and then the camera fell and I had to pick it back up. So yeah, I cut it, and yeah. So for this part, I was marking out the little brass tube. I had to cut the brass tube in two separate pieces because I had to measure out the way it was gonna go. And I was like, pretty much it was just like I was just putting it together, like going along with what I was just doing. And little by little I was doing it, and I was like, okay, this makes sense here and here, and I was like slowly putting it together. So I cut the brass tube into two pieces. I glued it into one, then the other, and then slowly, like, I was putting it together. Then I glued the pieces, but before gluing them I sanded both of them. And one piece is bigger than the other because one of them has to hold the little ring, and the other one just goes inside of the pen so that it can hold itself, or hold together with the other side of the pen. So yeah. So I do the same process with the big pens. I spin it around a little bit and then I glue it. And before like putting glue on it, I use sandpaper to sand it, get the abrasive surface, and then I'll glue it. So I glued that one in first, or I put it together and then I put it through the other side, or I put it flush. I put it to where it would stick, and then after that I took it out and I was like, all right, we're good to go. So then yeah, then I glued, I think I took out the other piece, and then I finally put the other piece in, and yeah. So then now I took off the little ring, and then I took out the other side, and this side was a little bit harder to take out because the end piece of it was like flared out a little bit. So yeah, so then on that one I did the same thing. I scratched it up before I put it on, and then yeah, I put it to where that little like the line was at with a Sharpie, and twisted it so that the glue could equally spread throughout the inside of it. So then yeah, and I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see it. So the one that's on the bottom part, it has a little bit of a gap, and that gap is so that it fits onto itself. And then I put the caliper on the inside so that it could clean up the hole, because it was like bent in from when I cut it. So yeah, I just fixed it a little bit, and then yeah. Alright, so for this part I had to use my file and push open that little piece of the tube so that it flares up a little bit, or like flares out on the tip of it, and then when I put it onto the other piece it sticks to it. And watch, this is what I'm talking about. So yeah, that I want it to stick to each other so that it won't fall apart while the pen is stuck together. And then yeah, I throw it onto the drill press, use the reamer and the cutter head. The cutter head is like the top part of it, so the part that you see that takes off the excess material. And yeah, so I did that to both pieces so that they can get cleaned up and I could put them on to the lathe. So while I was doing this, the actual tube came out, so then I had to stop it. It slid out and I was like, really? So then I stopped the machine, or I stopped the drill press, and I looked at it and I was like, wait, it looks weird. And I was like, oh, there's the tube. So I had to get the little tube out, I had to clean it up again, and then I had to put it back inside of the little hole. So then I glued it and I put it back, and yeah, so it was pretty good. So then all I had to do now was do the other side. And there was like glue stuck on there from it earlier. And that's what I was saying, that if you don't let it dry like properly, then it will just like fall apart or just come out. So yeah, so then I do the other side now. I don't know what I was doing right there. I was just probably messing with it or something. I remember. So yeah. Okay, so now I do the second part after like half an hour. Just kidding. So yeah, I did the second half of the pen. So I think I remember if that was the top or the bottom side of the pen. So then I finally did that, and then after that, it is time to put it on the lathe. So I was like, yeah, let me film this while it's dark. Just kidding. And there's a light. Hello. Okay, so when I was putting this on there, I was like, what in the world? Like, how am I going to put it on there? So I grabbed all the bushings that I have for slimline pens, and I put them on there. And I needed like one more. So I grabbed one more bushing from another pen that I have, like the different kits. It still fits on there because it's a bushing for the pen. So yeah. Alright, so right here I start getting the mandrel ready. So the mandrel is that little rod or pole thing sticking out. So what I had to do for this one is I had to put it together like as one piece, and then I had to put I used literally all the bushings that I had for like regular slimline pens. So like the regular pens that I make, just the regular slim ones, I had to use those. And then how I said like a little while ago, I said that I used another one from another kit, is because I had no more extra what are they called again? Bushings. There you go. So yeah, I didn't have any more of those. So then I put one from another kit. So I was like, hey, it works, you know. So then yeah, I just got to, you know, sometimes you run out of resources, so you use other stuff, but it still works. So it's like, yeah, I always do that. So yeah, let's get it to spin. Here's another angle of how the pen looks, or how it's looking right now. And then on one side it was like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, it was like bubbly or whatever, but yeah. So right here I start shaping it, right, giving it a little bit like yeah, start cleaning it on the outsides. And on the outside, I don't know if you can see, but you see me going towards like the edge. There was a lot of like excess on there because yeah, there was, I don't know. So yeah, so then when I was doing this, I wanted to make it as like flush to each other. So like I would measure the thickness of one piece, like from one point to the other, like I wanted it to be like if you laid it flat, it would be all together in one. So like if you can see how good it looks, like how straight it is, that's what I was trying to do. Because if not, then it's gonna look a little weird. So here I started the same process that I do with every other pen while cleaning it. So then I used the 9 micro mesh pads, and then after using those micro mesh pads, I think I used the wax on this one. But yeah, so with this one it was a bit easier because it was a lot smaller, and yeah, it didn't take too much. So yeah, and then I like the way it came out because like that was my first time ever making something like this. But yeah, there's like, you know, like how there's like one of everything that you make, so yeah, there's different angles and stuff. And now here it is where I'm putting together. So it was pretty much like the regular pens, like you just put it together, like the tip in there and everything. So for that back piece, I put a little bit of electrical tape on the back because it kept slipping out and I didn't want it to slip out or just like pop out. So I put a little bit of electrical tape, so it added a little bit of thickness. It's not too like hard to where it won't go in and everything. So I made it to where it would fit. So yeah, so then I cut the electrical tape where I needed it to be.
Does it come in on
it? Yeah. So once I did that, I think, yeah, I went back. After that, I went back and cleaned it up a little more so the tape wasn't sticking out. So yeah, I put a little bit of tape on there. And, you know, electrical tape and duct tape fix everything. Just kidding. Sometimes they do, but yeah. So I cut off all the excess around the rim of the brass tube, and then I grabbed the second piece, or I grabbed the tip of it, right? You know, just throw that aside. I grabbed the. Hold on. So I'm trying to look at what I'm doing. So yeah, so then I lay it out the way it's gonna go. So that goes there. So put those together. I think I had to, no, I didn't. I was gonna say I thought I had to glue it, but no, I didn't. So yeah, I put the tip on there, and then yeah. So pretty much this pen, I don't think there's like any other pen like this that I've ever seen, ever, like on YouTube or anything like that. And then yeah, it's, I don't know, it's mind blowing. Sometimes we make things and we're just like, what, like we can make those type of things. But yeah, so I put the end cap on there. I didn't put a clip because the clip would have made it look a little weird. So I was like, and I asked my sister, I was like, dude, want the clip on there? And she was like, not really. So then I put the spring in there now, and then I put the pen, and that pen, it was a regular cartridge from just one of those like dealership pens, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna just finesse this from here. So not finesse it from the place, but you know what I mean, just like take the ink cartridge. So yeah, so what the electrical tape does is it adds like a little bit of, there goes that. Okay, hold on, fix it. So what it does is it adds a little bit of thickness, but it's not too hard. So now that it, like, as you see, it sits pretty good. So now the pen is, that's when it's closed. So when you open the pen, you just pull it apart and you put the spring on the back side of it so that it pushes the ink forward. And yeah, so here's a little beautiful pen, you know.